That night, the air felt strange. Not cold, just unsettled. The kind of air that doesn't shake the trees, it shakes your mind. I had recently moved to that area, far away from the noise of the city, surrounded by woods and silence. That's exactly why I chose the place. Right behind my house was a massive forest with dozens of hidden trails running through. During the first few weeks, I explored those woods almost every day. Slowly, I started memorizing every turn, every tree, every narrow path. I always hiked alone. I recorded little videos just for myself, not for YouTube, not for social media. Sometimes I find a tiny waterfall. Other times, a hidden pond buried deep between the trees. It felt like these places were my own little secrets. But the day this happened, the forest felt different. Every sound made me turn around. Even the crunch of dry leaves made my heart race. After wandering for hours, I found a small clearing in the middle of the woods. There was a swampy patch of water surrounded by thick trees. The weird thing was, the moment I stepped into that clearing, I suddenly felt calm. Like all the pressure around me had disappeared. I pulled out my phone and started recording. Just found this little clearing, probably heading back in a few minutes. That's all I said. What I didn't know was, behind the camera, hidden between the trees, someone was watching me. About 30 minutes later, I finally made my way back to the public trail near the parking lot and rest. The second I stepped out of the bathroom, a man suddenly walked right up to me. Black hoodie, dark sunglasses. Hey there. His voice sounded way too casual, like he already knew me. I gave a polite smile and started walking away. Then I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around. The guy was following. Looks like we're taking the same trail, he said with a grin. Something about that smile felt fake. Zul Elite. Actually, I'm waiting for someone. He stayed quiet for a second and suddenly walked back toward me. Hey, my car's messed up. The hood won't open. You got smaller fingers? Think you could help me? At that point, every alarm in my head started going off because the parking lot was in the opposite direction. I looked at him and said, "Didn't you just say you were heading down the trail?" He laughed softly. "Yeah, I'm taking that trail back to the car." Now his voice was starting to scare me. I seriously considered locking myself inside the restroom and calling someone for help. That's when a couple walked by. Without even thinking, I walked straight up to the woman. "Oh my God, is that you?" At first, she looked confused, but the second she saw my face, she understood. She immediately started playing along. "Wow, it's been forever." I kept the conversation going like we were old friends. The guy stood there awkwardly for a few seconds, like he was trying to figure out whether I was lying or... Finally, he turned and walked toward the parking lot. I felt relieved, but the real horror hadn't even started yet. Later that night, I was sitting at home going through the videos for my hike. That's when the clearing video came on. I watched it casually at first. Then suddenly my heart stopped. In the background, behind me, between the trees, the same man. He had already been following me deep in the woods. My hand started shaking. I replayed the video over and over again. He was just standing there, completely still, like he was waiting for the perfect moment. That's when it hit me. He wanted me to go back into the woods alone with him. The broken car story, all of it was fake. That same night, I called the police. They searched the area and opened an investigation, but they never found the guy. And honestly, that's probably the scariest part of this entire story, because it means he's probably still out there somewhere, standing near another trail, watching someone else walk, alone through the woods, just waiting for the perfect moment. I was 21 when this happened. Back in 2017, I worked part-time at a small gas station a few miles from my house. It was never supposed to be a long-term job. I only planned on staying there for a few months while I figured out what I wanted to do with my life. The day shifts were annoying, but normal. The night shifts were different. At night, the whole place felt isolated. The bright fluorescent lights inside the store made the darkness outside seem even deeper. After a certain hour, every customer started feeling strange. Every sound felt louder. And that night, I was completely alone. Around 9:30 p.m., the store phone rang. I answered without thinking. "Thanks for calling." Before I could finish, I heard breathing. Slow, heavy. Then a voice spoke. "Are you all alone in the store tonight?" The voice sounded fake at first, like someone trying way too hard to imitate a horror movie killer. It instantly reminded me of Ghostface from Scream. I rolled my eyes and laughed. "Yeah, man, you got me." Then I hung up. I honestly thought one of my friends was messing with me. I texted our group chat immediately. "Which one of you idiots is calling the store pretending to be a serial killer?" They all laughed. All denied it. I figured they were lying to keep the prank going. But about 10 minutes later, the phone rang again. Same voice. "Why did you hang up on me?" I smirked and leaned against the counter. "Okay, seriously, funny joke." Then the caller laughed softly, but something about it felt wrong. Not playful, not joking, real. Then he said, "I don't like rude people, especially when I know where they are." The smile slowly disappeared from my face. I hung up again, and for the first time that night, I felt uneasy. As the night went on, the store got quieter. Fewer customers, long stretches of silence. Every time the phone rang, my stomach tightened. At around 10:40 p.m., the caller came back. This time he asked, "Does it always get this quiet in there so late at night?" That hit me harder than I want to admit. Because he was right. The store was dead quiet. I looked toward the front windows automatically, staring out into the dark parking lot. Nothing. Just empty pumps and darkness. I hung up without saying anything. Now I wasn't annoyed anymore. Now I was nervous. I started texting my friends individually. Every single one of them had an alibi. One was home. One was with his girlfriend. One even sent me a picture from his basement. That's when I realized something I didn't want to admit. What if this wasn't a prank? By 11 p.m., the calls were nonstop. I stopped answering after the fifth one. The phone would ring. Stop. Then ring again 2 minutes later. I kept checking the security cameras. The gas station sat alone near a quiet road, and behind the building was a small patch of woods. The cameras outside were terrible at night. Grainy. Full of blind spots. Still, I kept flipping through them, expecting to catch one of my friends crouched outside laughing. But I never saw anybody. Then I started hearing noises outside. At first, I brushed them off. A tapping sound. Then what sounded like scratching against the side wall. Then footsteps crunching gravel behind the building. I froze. Every instinct in my body was screaming at me that something was wrong. I texted the group chat again. Seriously? Stop. This isn't funny anymore. One of my friends actually called me after that. His voice sounded genuinely confused. Dude, that's not us. That was the moment real fear started setting in. Around 11:40 p.m., the front door opened. The sound alone made me jump. A man walked in. At first glance, he looked completely normal. Late 20s maybe. Early 30s. Nothing dirty or weird about him. But his face was blank. No smile. No expression. He didn't say hello. He just slowly walked through the aisles. I watched him carefully through the security monitor while pretending not to. He kept stopping behind shelves. And more than once, I caught him peeking over them toward the counter. Watching me. Not casually either. Studying me. He stayed in the store way too long for someone who eventually grabbed only a single bag of chips. My stomach started feeling heavy, like my body already knew something my brain didn't want to accept yet. Finally, he walked up to the counter. I scanned the chips. For 1 second, everything felt normal. Then I looked up, and he was staring directly into my eyes. No expression, no blinking, just staring. It only lasted maybe 2 seconds, but it felt way longer. Then he looked down and paid. I handed him the bag. He turned and started walking toward the door. I remember thinking maybe I was overreacting. Maybe he was just weird. But right before stepping outside, he stopped, slowly turned his head toward me. His chin tilted downward slightly, forcing his eyes to look up at me. Then he smiled. I still can't fully explain that smile. That IT looked intentional. Like he knew exactly how terrifying he appeared, and enjoyed it. Every hair on my body stood up instantly. Then he stepped outside. But instead of walking toward a car or the gas pumps, he walked around the side of the building toward the darkness. And the entire time, he kept staring at me through the glass, still smiling. I rushed to the camera monitor. I watched him disappear around the corner of the building, then vanish into one of the camera blind spots near the woods. And he never came back out. 10 seconds passed, then 30, then a full minute. Nothing. That was enough for me. I locked the store early. Then I texted my family and friends. If I stopped replying, something happened. I rushed through closing as fast as I could. Barely cleaned anything. I kept checking the cameras over and over. Still nothing. Finally, midnight came. I grabbed my stuff, unlocked the front door, and stepped outside. Relocking that door felt like the longest few seconds of my life. The second it locked, I ran toward my car. I was almost there when I heard footsteps. Fast footsteps. Not running. Almost worse. Like someone speed walking aggressively across pavement. I turned around. It was him. He had come out from the front corner of the building and was heading straight toward me fast. I yanked my car door open and practically threw myself inside. Locked the doors. Started the engine. Reversed out so hard, I almost lost control. As I sped out of the parking lot, I looked in the rearview mirror one last time. He was standing there under the gas station lights, watching me leave, still smiling.